You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 197. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm the newest member of the Avengers, Jeff Barnhart. My super snark power.
What, Forbushman was out of town?
Indeed.
Okay, unavailable. Hey. I screwed up my own joke. What, Forbushman was unavailable? Was what I meant to say. I have an announcement to make.
Yes.
Comic Reflections will no longer be associated with Rhymes with Geek because Rhymes with Geek is going away.
Mm-hmm. You know why?
I do. I don't want to air anybody else's dirty laundry, but Josh Reifler, the guy who runs the site, he's just got too much other stuff going on in life, and he can't do it. But there's no bad blood. I wish Josh all the best, and I want to thank him for everything he's done for us in this show in the past 2 years.
Indeed.
Rhymes with Geek has been good to us, and along with that, in the last month or so, Josh kind of built kind of a bridge, a relationship with this other site, the Outhousers, and they are much bigger. But we were sharing like an ad column on each site, so we were advertising their articles, they were advertising ours. Anyway, they have offered to take on the writing staff and the folks who are putting out content for Rhymes with Geek. So, as of right now, this episode, Comic Reflections will be a part of the Outhousers, and you can find us and lots of cool comic book news and articles at theouthousers.com. And we hope this will be a fruitful partnership.
I've not heard of them before this, but their website looks good. There's about 8 articles I want to read, just perusing it.
Yeah, and you just took a look at it before we started recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And apparently they get between 600,000 and 800,000 views on the site a month, which is significantly larger amount of traffic than Rhymes with Geek was pulling in. So this is a good step. Hopefully we won't get lost in the shuffle there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. It's cool.
All right. Well, let's keep shuffling, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. The Power of Babel.
Yes. The first book we're going to talk about today is Avengers number 125. It's the July of 1974 issue. Jeff gave you the story title. This was written by Steve Englehart. And the art layouts were done by John Buscema. And then the finished pencils and inks were done by Dave Cockrum.
Okay. All right.
The Avengers have just defeated Libra of the Zodiac.
Yeah, they do this a lot. I mean, in Marvel Comics, we come to the first page and we're wrapping this up, and then we start on a new thing. It's kind of interesting, but it kind of sucks if you have not read the issue beforehand.
Well, all we know is that they beat Libra. We don't know, what all happened and the ramifications of that. You could still go back and enjoy that.
Right.
So, and it's kind of fun, and Captain America's showing back up. He's been away from the Avengers. And now Steve Englehart was also writing Captain America at this time. And Cap is kind of downtrodden and bummed right now because of he's just defeated the Secret Empire, and he found out that their leader was Dick Nixon, who was the president at the time. So, Captain America is a bit disillusioned because the president of the United States was in league with supervillainy.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I missed that in high school. All right.
So at this time, who was in the Avengers? They got it looks like Iron Man and the Panther and
Vision and
Scarlet Witch and Mantis and the Swordsman.
No, not Moondragon, Mantis, yeah.
And I think Hawkeye's around too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we get a lot of talking about what's going on before, and there's.
I guess Mantis fought some monster on the moon or something.
Yeah.
And, she's Vietnamese.
Right.
And she
Vietnamese German.
And she talks in this weird way. She refers to herself. She says, "This one believes that blah blah blah." It's an odd cadence of speech.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, sort of Doctor Doomish, as in no
Well, she doesn't say Mantis believes this. She says this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that like the fourth person? What is that?
Okay, you say that you're speaking of third person.
Then
so
you will say your name all the time, like
no,
Jimmy's
first
new in
person.
town.
No, the editorial we.
The editorial we.
Is that second person? Oh man, this is.
I don't know. I wasn't an English major.
Yeah, I just read the books. I don't know what makes them go.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm embarrassed because I don't remember, but it's okay.
All right.
She talks funny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's very serious talk. She doesn't tell any jokes.
Yeah.
And let's see. So who's this girl comes up?
That's Mantis, I thought.
No, this is someone totally different. It's using Rick Jones' entry pass. It's his girlfriend. Or something?
Yeah, it's Rick Jones' girlfriend.
All right.
Rick Jones, the snapper car of the Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I like Rick and I like Snapper. I'm not trying to disparage either one of them. So anyway, I think there's a big flashback about, Thanos fighting the Swordsman and Captain Marvel and Drax the Destroyer, all kinds of goofiness.
Yeah, and I can't follow it. It's just a huge splash page and different stuff going on.
It's an awful lot to put into a recap. But epic stuff is going, and the Avengers are gotta, they're expecting they gotta fight Thanos. Is the long and the short of it.
Right. Yeah, he has a jaw like Devil's Tower.
Yeah, you said that in your notes, and I get what you're saying, but I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, but it looks something, I don't know, it's something weird.
Yes, it is weird.
All right, so Thanos has sent a space fleet against Earth.
Yeah.
And it's it's pretty cool. It'd have been awesome if I had never seen Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
although there's a 2-page splash of this fleet, heading towards Earth or whatever, and it looks pretty great. We get the Avengers Quinjet. I guess they can go to space with it too.
And what does the Black Panther have? He's alone, by the way.
Well, he's got his own ship. He's from Wakanda. He's cool.
Yeah, but it's kind of.
He's rich, man.
It's
I'll take my own car.
Star Cruiser. I guess it's Kree. Maybe?
Oh yeah, it is Kree. That's right.
I think it looks kind of ridiculous. It's got a big star in the front, for crying out loud. It's worse than Batman's old Batmobile with a big bat mask in the front. It's this little.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? It's a comic book. I mean, I realize putting a star on the front of it doesn't look very aerodynamic. It's weird, but people do stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it has some significance to the Kree, that shape or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, Thanos has got this fleet. He's going to destroy or attack Earth. And as you know, Thanos worships death. He wants to cause the death of all life in the universe. And he's got all these weird disciples who follow him, even though their fate is to die.
Yep.
But and
different countries,
different planets. Oh yeah.
Which comes to be very important.
Right.
Later on in the story.
Yeah. Did I mention Thor's here? Thor's here too.
All right.
So the Avengers board one of the ships and they start fighting. Thor's kicking butt.
Yeah. As he always does.
Yeah.
And,
there's some drama going on because the Swordsman is jealous of the Vision because the Swordsman is involved. The Swordsman is romantically involved with Mantis. Okay. And he thinks because the Mantis had flirted with the Vision that the Vision is like trying to make time with his girl. Which he's not.
Yeah. This is like what she talked. What is he saying, Vision? Have you praised this one to him also? That's the way she talks.
Yeah.
And
I think the Vision is becoming involved with the Scarlet Witch at this point, but I don't think it's like totally set. I could be wrong.
Scarlet Witch thinks she ought to be involved with Vision. Because she's really ticked off about, and I'm not angry, but sad.
About Mantis.
Yeah.
She's feeling self-conscious, which I don't know why, but But yeah, it's an interesting triangle to have, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's two triangles.
Yeah.
So, with six, no, five. Okay, one. Mantis, Scarlet Witch, both like Vision. Vision and Swordsman likes Mantis.
The Vision isn't into the Mantis.
Well,
he has rejected her advances.
Mantis thinks he is, so that makes it. So,
yeah, and Swordsman thinks that.
Yeah.
So
that makes it a thing.
Yeah. So it's complicated. Anyway, they got to sabotage some spaceship or something.
Yeah, it's behind us. Some kind of force field. You can't see into it. They break into it with the help of the Scarlet Witch, and it's this huge thing with bristling with guns that are never fired. And I mean, seriously, I see 20 guns already. But or maybe those are not guns, but they're antennae.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah. But the whole thing it's a universal translator.
Right.
And which is odd. I mean,
yeah.
I guess Google Translator wasn't invented yet.
but the whole point is this is what allows Thanos' minions to speak to and understand each other. Mm-hmm. So the Avengers sabotage that and cause confusion amongst this fleet. It's a great stalling tactic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not a stalling tactic. It's a decisive tactic that destroys them. Because they start fighting each other, and then the fleet falls apart.
Yeah.
Don't get much better than that. Generally, multinational armies don't do well. The movie 300 with the Xerxes and his minions didn't do so well against the Spartans. Austro-Hungarian Empire didn't do so hot in World War I, even against the Russians, badly. So, but it's interesting thing. So that's where we get Power of Babel.
Yeah.
Tower of Babel.
Yeah, no, that's pretty clever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty clever of me to get to realize that. No, it was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
It's cool. Lots of fighting and Avenger angst.
Yeah.
Oh, it was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And we find out Thanos has come to Earth to continue the fight against the Avengers himself. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. All right. He's this huge warlord. He's got all these planets. And all. Actually, he has a third moon of Saturn. I says, huh?
Yeah, Titan. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he's from.
Huh. I mean, that sounds... Why not a real planet? But no, okay. So he's this potentate, and he just comes on Earth, and he's hiding behind a brick wall, listening in on the Avengers who don't realize he's there.
It's not very dignified. It seems like something the Rhino would do, or like a small time villain.
Yeah.
Not like this mad god.
Right, and like I don't know, Hitler trying to figure out if they jump into London to figure out if the Ultra Code or something like that. It's sort of you don't.
Doesn't he have spies to do this?
Exactly.
Couldn't he just use, I don't know, powers to listen in on them?
Why did he bring another fleet? He could have had two fleets, and one when they were fighting the Avengers, and the other fleet goes in and takes care of business. It's just sort of.
Yeah. So.
Oh, all right.
So we have
another Avengers.
Yes, another. Yes. Oh, good. Jefferson enjoying this. Yeah. Now we'll skip ahead. This is Avengers number 141, which is the November of 1975 issue, and this story is called "The Phantom Empire." It also was written by Steve Englehart, with pencils by George Perez and inks by Vince Colletta. Now, this issue is the Beast is coming to join the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's all blue fur now, which is cool. And we open up. When did
he become blue fur?
It was in the 70s. He had a run of solo stories in a book called Amazing Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working on something that would accelerate mutation. And like AIM or Hydra or somebody like that attacked him. Mm-hmm. And to keep them from getting it, he swallowed the formula, and it accelerated his mutation. So that's why he got all the blue fur and more animal-like.
Oh, yeah. I kind of liked him better as the Bigfoot guy with the bare feet.
Yeah.
fighting. I don't know. I always liked the Beast though.
Sure. When we move to doing the phone book volumes, you and I will do that version of the X-Men. So
excellent.
So yeah. Anyway, he immediately gets attacked by super villainous henchmen, and Captain America happens to be there.
Are they in his skulls, or is that?
I don't remember.
I think so.
I think they were other Red Skull's minions. I think you're right. But anyway, so Cap and the Beast fight these. Yeah, that's right. They are Red Skull's guys. And so they beat these guys, and then they have a moment and talk about what's been happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Pyms are sick. And there's a nice little tidbit.
Yeah.
They're not sick, they got injured. So they're both in the same hospital.
Yeah, so Giant Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
Or I guess he'd be Yellow Jacket at this point.
Yeah. And some Joker gives Hank a
bouquet of flowers, and
he really hates that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think the most manliest man I ever heard of would. If he's in the hospital, he's going to.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the flowers. He's not going to be offended, but.
Right. I mean, flowers are nice, but I mean, I would never like. I'm a man, so I'm like, well, what am I gonna do with this shit?
Yeah.
Excuse me, but
he's offended, so
right.
I want to right till I get my hands on him. And then the Scarlet Witch, who's looking very nice in her costume. Yeah.
So yeah, and Cap and the Vision and Thor are all there, visiting them.
Yeah.
Also, Patsy Walker has visited the Avengers mansion. That's important.
Yes.
Patsy Walker had her own comics at Marvel in, I think, the 40s and 50s, and it was kind of like Archie type stuff. But it's funny that her and Millie the model, they are part of the Marvel universe.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
So she's running around trying to get a hold of the Beast.
Yeah. Yeah, there's two Hanks in the Avengers now.
Yeah, no, I just realized
Hank McCoy and Hank Pym. So, it's funny. This is that period where Iron Man has a nose on his armor. Yeah.
Interesting.
Short-lived. Oh, yeah, and Moon Dragons with the Avengers now, too.
Right.
The bald chick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she likes Thor, but Thor's not.
Yeah, well.
So, all right, so Patsy...
kind of barges in on the Avengers.
I was trying to think of barge is the right word. And Hank says, "Oh, my heavenly days, Patsy Baxter." So I've always liked his little euphemisms.
Yeah, his favorite one is "Oh, my stars and garters."
So I'm not sure what the deal is about this, because
and she reminds them that she's Patsy Walker again because she got divorced.
Right.
She married this guy Baxter.
But supposedly she was going to tell. Now she comes up and says, "He's really Hank McCoy," and Iron Man says, "Yeah, we know. So what?"
Yeah. This is just, you're probably wondering, why is Patsy Walker along? Why is she in part of this at all? This is kind of a backdoor way to introduce not just one Avenger, the Beast, but they will introduce Patsy Walker will become the Hellcat.
Huh.
So, and she's an Avenger for a time, but she spends more time in the Defenders. So anyway, Immortus shows up, and Immortus is the keeper of the time stream, and he's another version of Kang,
who is here as well.
Yeah.
Kang has captured Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Keeping him in some kind of time trap. So the deal is they want the Avengers to come and Kang will kick their butts, but Immortus comes and helps.
Yeah.
And I think it's decisive. We get a lot of Doctor Strange type things here.
The panel's layout is really
strangey.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, but it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very nice.
So, but yeah, Thor and Moondragon fight Kang, and that's pretty sweet.
Did a pretty good job.
Yeah. And they're weird because they're fighting him in like some outside of time or whatever. And, blah-de-blah is happening at the Avengers Mansion or whatever. But Kang summons the Squadron Supreme to fight the Avengers again.
Yeah. And here's Patsy's ex-husband.
Yeah, what's his deal?
I don't know.
Is he creeping on her? Is that it?
He's a colonel.
Oh. Colonel Baxter. Okay.
Yeah. So, Squadron Supreme, Lady Lark.
Who is the Black Canary? Remember,
Yeah.
this is all like kind of an homage to the Justice League. The Wizard.
Yeah.
The Flash. Dr. Spectrum, who's Green Lantern, of course. Golden Arrow.
Who's Green Arrow.
Yeah, and Hyperion, who's Superman. So.
Yeah. And a very cool fight.
Yeah. And so Cap and Iron Man and the Beast get into a big fight with these, and the Vision all get in a fight with these guys, and it's cool.
They're doing okay until Lady Lark opens her mouth. I was amused that Pat Baxter gets mad and starts pulling Lady Lark's hair.
Right.
I don't know. That was hilarious. So,
but then Lady Lark has a sonic scream like Black Canary, and it disorients the Scarlet Witch and Patsy Walker, and so that didn't work too good. But it's cool to see the Vision fight Dr. Spectrum, like Vision versus Green Lantern. You know, the Wizard against Iron Man, which is
Yeah, and we see a view screen.
And the Hyperion kicks the Beast's butt, which he would. I mean, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, we have a view screen of the
Squadron Supreme
carrying the Avengers in, and it looks very Kirby-esque. Especially, I don't know, it's very well done.
Yeah.
Lady Lark is only half her face shows.
Right, because the view screen doesn't show everything in the room.
Yeah.
But you're seeing like, the Squadron Supreme like carrying the defeated Avengers. Like, well, now there are captives.
Yeah, I thought it was well done.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
So
I like George Perez.
But that was very nice.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have one more issue of the Avengers to talk about today, and this is the Avengers number 221, which is the July of 1982 issue. The story is called New Blood, and this was written by Jim Shooter and David Michelinie, with pencils by Bob Hall and inks by Brett Breeding. And it's, fast forward a few years, it's the early 80s, and the Avengers are down to a slim number of 4. It's Cap, Thor, and Iron Man, and the Wasp. And they're saying, hey, we need some new members. So they're thinking about who they'd like to ask to maybe try out, see if they'd want to be in the Avengers. And
Wasp wants some girls.
Yeah.
And it's really neat. I like this. This was a great inside look on what happens. And, it's fascinating.
Yeah. And it's a nice, standalone story, too. I like issues like that. It serves as a transition between whatever happened right before and whatever's the next story arc. I feel like that kind of thing I'd like to see more often. Like, yeah, fine, you have a 4 or 5, 6 issue story arc, but the next issue should be a nice standalone story before you launch into your next epic. You know?
Yeah. Oh, hey, a Dungeons and Dragons advertisement.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Well drawn.
Yeah, I wish I knew who the artist was, but not bad.
I think the artist was in-house TSR. Because I've seen this work before.
Yeah, I think I almost know who the artist is, but I can't place him. So
yeah, it's a little story about they're getting attacked by wolves and stuff, and I kind of want to know what happens next.
Well, sure. I mean, and the whole thing is, about Dungeons and Dragons. You create these mythical stories, and you play it out like a game of Risk, only with more complicated stuff. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's fun. I've done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Avengers are talking, and Captain America leaves, Iron Man leaves, Thor's hanging out the Avengers mansion, and he thinks, hey, I think I should invite. He talks to Jarvis, gets some advice from him, about who maybe we should have. And Thor because of the conversation with Jarvis, gets the idea maybe I should talk to Spider-Man.
Plus, he's reading Time magazine with Spider-Man on the cover.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool? Hey, there's Time magazine with Spider-Man or
Thor.
I would buy those.
Oh, of course.
Man, I'd be all over that.
Yeah. So, and there's lots of dialogue between the Avengers via phone calls about who they're trying to round up and see, see about candidates for being in the Avengers.
Yeah. So the Wasp, as we said, wants more girls.
Yeah. So she invited a bunch of different super gals over. We'll get to that.
Not right now.
Oh, okay, fine.
Black Widow, Sue Storm, Dazzler, Spider-Woman, and She-Hulk. It's on her computer.
Yeah. But anyway, Thor's flying over Central Park, and he sees Spider-Man stop some robbers.
And the robbers run away from Spider-Man, and Thor calls down storm and wind and rain and knocks him out. And the police, hey, thanks, Thor, and that really ticks off Spider-Man. But it's hard to be angry at Thor too long because he's so forthright. He doesn't,
because he's a good guy. Even if he screws something up, it's like, well, his intention was to help you. Even if it, like you lost face somehow, that's not what he meant. See, because he's noble, you just, it's easy to forgive him. So he has a conversation with Spider-Man.
Speaking of Thor, wasn't it the best scene in the new Avengers movie when they're sitting around drinking, and only the best can pick up the hammer?
Yeah.
And Captain America comes close. The look on Thor's face was wonderful.
That was great. And of course, Steve Rogers is worthy to lift the hammer, and he's done it. But that served as a perfect foreshadowing in the movie because, well, spoilers. When the Vision is able to wield it, that's their way. Like, oh, we can trust this guy instantly.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Hopefully, our listeners have seen the movie by now.
I would think. I mean, it's been out for a month and a half, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they probably saw it before it came out. So.
So Captain America and Iron Man pay a visit to Hawkeye, who's working. He's not an Avenger at this time. Yeah. He's working as a head of security at some company, like Roxxon or something like that.
And he's sitting back reading Playboy. Yeah. Just for the articles now. But,
of course.
Would you have chosen Hawkeye?
Would I have chosen Hawkeye?
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Here's the thing. They're asking around to fill out the Avengers roster. Hawkeye's had a great track record with the Avengers. So he's a great Avenger, especially in the comics. He doesn't have powers, but he's always been one of the most interesting characters.
Oh yeah, but I'm not talking about.
You're talking about power level.
Yeah. You're Thor. I'm Captain America. If we're trying to get some people together for the Avengers, I could not make an argument for Hawkeye.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm Thor or I'm Iron Man, I don't need a guy who can do exactly the same I can do. The point of the Avengers is they work as an ensemble. They have all these different gifts. Hawkeye, yes, he doesn't have powers, but he's good in a fight, and he's got all these trick arrows. He's got a lot of skill. He's good.
Call Green Arrow then.
Wrong company.
Yeah, but why not just the Punisher then, or somebody who's good with
because the Punisher's a murderer.
I don't know. Sometimes mortarizing is necessary. No, it's.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, if this were real life and there were people with powers around and Hawkeye's an option, but maybe we could get somebody else.
Yeah. Spider-Man would have been my choice.
Sure.
And or anybody else, someone who's. Yeah. Oh well. Well, I mean, nothing against Hawkeye. He's great, but it's a guy with a bow and arrow. I mean, I mean, they did pretty good against the French at Agincourt and all that, but for crying out loud, that's sort of
So anyway, Hawkeye agrees to come back to the Avengers. So then, who's going to be the other new Avenger? Let's see. Well, back to the Avengers mansion, the Wasp is having her Super Gals tea party.
But nearby, somebody's making a big robot.
That's right.
And he's wearing a Meatloaf T-shirt.
Right.
So you know he's up to no good.
Oh man, this guy, what is he? The Mechano Marauder. And I swear to God, I've seen an issue where this guy is bothering the Avengers again, or previously. But anyway, he wants to make a name for himself by defeating an Avenger or the Avengers or something. But anyway.
Yeah, he came at the wrong day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, any day is the wrong day for him to attack the Avengers, but
yeah. So the Wasp is having this party, and and she's got Sue Storm there, and Dazzler, Spider-Woman, and
Black Widow.
Black Widow. And then comes She-Hulk. Yay! And She-Hulk is my favorite of these.
Yeah, I like the She-Hulk.
And she has a good sense of humor. She eats a lot. It's kind of... She's got an interesting personality. Dazzler is my least favorite.
Do you know she had her own series?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's kind of dumb. She makes bad jokes. She doesn't... Well, I'm into singing, not fighting.
Because here's the thing. She's like the roller disco superheroine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an odd choice for a character to for a comic book, but...
They wanted something for the girls, I guess. I don't know.
Well, she was dreamed up to kind of capitalize on the disco craze. Well, and then when disco crashed,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
In order to use disco to sell something or to sell comics, which is why the Dazzler was made, which is why Spider-Man was made. But disco is music and motion. I don't think it can translate well on static pages.
Probably not. The Dazzler's power, of course, she turns sound into light and like laser blasts and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And so when she's performing on stage, she's doing this great light show.
Yeah.
And then nobody knows that she's
saves
actually
electricity.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an odd thing. I wonder if she ever fought the Hypno Hustler. He was that disco-themed supervillain.
I'm not. That's not a bad superpower.
No.
I mean, the dazzle people.
Sure. And she later joined the X-Men.
Ooh. But I just don't like her.
Okay.
I think she's annoying and someone you wouldn't like in real life. So everybody else is pretty cool. Spider-Woman doesn't like her either.
Yeah. Now, it's so funny because that Spider-Woman and Spider-Man were like asked to maybe join the Avengers at this time. Years later, in the 2000s, they would.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, the Meccano Marauder comes and breaks at the party. I like his robot. It's pretty cool.
It's kind of goofy looking, I think.
It's not bad. It's better than a lot of other robots.
Sure.
We've seen and we will see.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he gets in a fight with all these gals out on the Avengers Mansion lawn, and they kick his butt. They
kick his butt so bad. They said, the fight's not even over. I gotta go. I don't think I can join the Avengers. I got other things. So they're just leaving while the fight's going on.
Yeah.
That is how much they disdain this guy.
Yeah, and then the She-Hulk just comes in and kicks his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Knocks him for a real loop. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. And then the Wasp gets into the robot and then punches him out.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So they make the decision. Jarvis calls the State Department, and I did not know this, but it has to be cleared by the federal government, and Dutch Reagan signs Hawkeye.
Does it say Ronald Reagan?
It says Ronald.
Let me see that. Keep talking.
Hey, how many Ronalds you know?
Oh, yeah, I know. You're right. But in earlier panels, they show Henry Peter Gyrick, who was their liaison to the government.
Mm-hmm.
There was a storyline probably a year or so prior to this where that guy shows up, and for the Avengers to have official U.S. government sanctioning, which is important, they need to have that clearance, they had to cut their roster down to 7, and they had a bunch of people at that time. And yeah.
Were they afraid they're getting too powerful, or?
I don't remember, because I don't know if
paperwork? I don't know.
Interesting plot for a comic book. That's the real reason. So,
yeah. All right. Hawkeye is coming to work for the first time, and he runs into She-Hulk. They're both not very good drivers.
I should be noted. Hawkeye was out of the Avengers at this time. I might have mentioned it before, but he's on his way back to the Avengers Mansion.
Yeah.
So,
and okay, so he gets cut off. So he uses his bow and arrow and destroys the other person's car. I think he quits running or something.
Yeah, it's like a pink Cadillac.
Yeah. And it's huge, too, like they used to be back then. So, now the pink Cadillac, She-Hulk was in it. She-Hulk gets out and tears up the cab that Hawkeye is in. And neither one of them know that both of them are in.
Are coming back to join the Avengers again.
So
yeah.
Which makes an awkward visit.
Yes.
But it's really nice. The very last of it, they're welcoming in the new Avengers, and it's really sweet and nice. I really liked it.
Yeah, no, it's a fun issue.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this last part was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And the way that She-Hulk has to lean down so the Wasp, because she's really tall, so the Wasp can kiss her cheek.
Yeah.
And it's just really, I don't know, I was just really touched by it. It's pretty cool.
You know, this is a fun issue because it's really like, yeah, there's some fighting, and because you need to have that in a superhero comic, but it's really about the relationships between the people who are in the Avengers. And that's a really nice issue.
Sometimes that can be annoying.
But this is about their friendship and the legacy of the Avengers, and that's why it works.
I get irritated by the, does she love him, does she not, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's
there are
nice,
different kinds of relationship
really,
stuff.
Sometimes they do it over much. But this is well done, and I like the little hen party they had there. And and their disdainfulness of the villain is, God, let's see, take care of him. You know, it's really...
Yeah, because this guy was no real threat.
Right.
You know,
I mean, to you and I, you know, he'd be dead. So okay. Moving on.
Yes, we're going to talk about Beware, #1 from March of 1973, and the lead story is called. This is, by the way, it's a reprint book. It's horror stuff, much of it pre-code. But anyway, the lead story is called The Werewolf Was Afraid, which is originally from Menace #8 from October of 1953, with art by John Romita.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, when I hear pre-codes, ooh, blood and guts, but it's really not that.
Right.
Yeah, kind of tame.
Well, and here's the thing: it may have been reprinted. It may have appeared pre-code, been reprinted later, and censored. With to fit the code. Now this is 1973. The code has relaxed again. That's why they're even able to have a horror book. But there's a lot of stories that were like that were originally done before the code, and were corrections or cleaned up and reprinted, rerun again, tamer versions of those stories post code or in the code era rather. So I don't know if these had been tweaked at all, or if this, whatever.
Yeah. I guess there's no way to know unless you see the original. Unless you see something crudely drawn over something, or I don't know. But...
I was reading, in fact, I was just looking at an issue of Alter Ego, which is one of the great comics fanzines out there. Well, it's a professional mag, but... it's all about comics history, okay? And I was actually looking at some side-by-side, like here's a page of the original version before the code, and here's a retouched version where they cleaned a lot of stuff up, and there's some drastic differences. I'll have to bring that and show you some things. So
yeah, I'm kind of torn. There's some stuff I wouldn't want an 8-year-old boy or girl looking at in comics, but it's kind of silly, some of the other stuff too. Who'd you say drew this?
John Romita.
Okay, it looks familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like his, later work, but...
It looks like the early Mad magazine when it was a comic book.
Yeah.
Instead of magazine.
Yeah.
So, especially the Hunter getting really mad. Oh,
yeah, a lot of the art in the original, when Mad was a comic book, was done by Jack Davis, Wally Wood, Harvey Kurtzman, and... John Severin and Will Elder, excuse me. So yeah, it definitely has I think it really looks like a Severin and Elder kind of story, which is probably what Romita was going for at that time.
Yeah. All right. Title is The Werewolf Was Afraid. This big-time British hunter has... did you already get the credits?
Yes, I did.
All of them? Okay.
Yeah, there was no credit for the writing, so...
Okay. All right, so he hears about this werewolf. Well, this guy, this hunter will not shoot anything unless it attacks him first. Well, I guess he doesn't get much deal.
Yeah, he's weird.
Yeah, so he's going to go after a werewolf. So he goes into, I guess, Transylvania or somewhere.
Actually, it's Pennsylvania. No.
And he sees a werewolf smelling flowers and reading poetry. Yeah. Sitting on a rock, cross-legged.
Yeah. Like a hippie. No.
Yeah. So he said, well, I can't shoot him. He's just sitting there reading poetry. So they get to arguing. And so the hunter attacks him first, but the werewolf destroys his rifle and then eats him. And then the werewolf got him really, really mad. So he would have hot lunch because the hot-blooded makes the meat taste better. Because you get really hot when you get mad. I don't understand it either.
Yeah. But the werewolf looked cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to see it in the dark alley. But the werewolf was afraid? I don't get that.
Well,
I know he's being hunted, but he never looked too afraid to me. So.
What can you do? It made a great splash panel.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Why would a werewolf be afraid? And so you're drawn in. Okay.
Yeah. He's in Twilight movie. That's right.
Oh, man. So one of the first of several backups is called Too Human to Live, which was originally appeared in Spellbound number 16 from August of 1953, with art by Vic Carabata, penciling, and inked by Jack Abel.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have a bunch of robots working and one human. The human really is getting tired of working with robots.
Yeah, what a racist.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that's not what it's about, but I'm
oh yeah, it kind of is, maybe a little bit. So,
yeah.
So he wants to get out, but he said, "All right, his boss says you're under contract," and his boss is a robot too. So, so he gets off work and he goes out and he sees this pretty girl, and he's going to have a date. He goes back to work. His boss says, "Oh, you're going to have to work late because you're getting kind of antsy. So if you work here more, you'll like it better," which didn't make much sense, but it's a comic book.
Oh yeah.
So that makes the guy.
Glad you reminded me.
Yeah. So the guy tries to escape, and then the robots start chasing him, and chase, and then the guy falls off the building, and oh no, he's a robot.
And he didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's why he was under contract.
He knew he was, but then he was under delusion. He went crazy.
Oh, okay.
And why have a human-looking robot when it's not needed? Someone was.
So you could have this fun science fiction story.
Yeah.
Is the answer?
And it took me 10 years to figure out the answer. No, there's no reason to have human-shaped robots, but according to
Asimov?
Asimov, very good. Yeah.
It's like I'm pretty sure that's where you're going with this. Okay.
Yeah, that the robots will be human-shaped because we have human-shaped cars. And humans in the car to drive it is already human-shaped. So why invent another shape?
Oh, right. So if you were going to have robots to drive, of course you'd make them human-shaped.
Or use machinery that's already humans are using and all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
So I says, oh, that's clever. Although you wouldn't have to make robots. Not all of them have to be human-shaped, but if you wanted someone around the house, yeah.
Sure. All right. Oh, so the next story is called On the Trail of the Witch. And now this is a reprint from Tales of Suspense.
Is that a W or a B?
What? Oh, it's a W. Will you just let me go? Anyway, this is a reprint of Tales of Suspense number 27 from March of 1962. Stan Lee wrote the plot, and Larry Lieber did the script. Pencils by Jack Kirby, and inked by Dick Ayers. So, and Kirby and Ayers worked on a lot of monster stories in the early 60s and in the 50s together.
Yeah,
so
you can see a lot of Kirbyisms.
It's great.
Yeah.
He does gnarled trees really good.
And he does townspeople well.
Yeah.
Sometimes the main characters, I don't like the faces, but I always like the faces of the side characters.
Sure. Sometimes they're more interesting because you can make people look more like You know, like when you see movies and you'll see like certain like goofy looking character actors that show up again and again, they're always like just great chewing the scenery. You know, because the lead character is always going to be usually the most beautiful person in the world or whatever.
Or the most handsome, but also they're not going to be wacky or...
Right.
Yeah. I love character actors. I think we're losing them. I can't think of a character actor now. So it's kind of sad.
I mean, they exist. I mean, people are... There's always bit parts.
Yeah, no, but character actors is, you know... like I don't know.
Look, because you have a mindset of, oh, I know these old bit players from the movies from the 50s and 60s or whatever. Yeah, they're all dead now.
Yeah.
But there are other people that do those kinds of roles.
I think that it's more muted and not as done as much.
Okay.
Because you're making a $200 million movie. You don't want people saying, oh, there's Joe Blow. He was in the Charmin commercial or whatever. You know, you don't
Mr. Whipple?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we had this witch on the run.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the witch on the run.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was going to sing the Judy Garland song when she destroys the Wicked Witch of the East.
That's the one that she squished at the beginning of the movie, and the West.
But you made me decide not to.
Oh, okay.
There's enough singing in this episode.
Oh, okay. That's like 5 seconds of singing.
I know. It's totally enough.
Oh man.
Okay. Okay. She's on the run, but why is she on the run? She's on the run. It's the Witchfinder here.
Yeah. I love Witchfinder generals.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just a cool job. Hi, I'm the Witchfinder General.
Yeah.
Wow! You know?
Yeah. Okay.
How can you not be impressed by that?
I know, it looked great on my resume.
Yeah. I'm Matthew Hopkins, Witchfinder General.
Alright. The witch turns a twig or something into a cat. I'm not sure why.
For fun. Witchy fun.
Yeah. Into a cat. Hee. That's what I thought. Okay.
I love how the way Kirby drew that, like, piece of branch that was kind of like
a cat,
sort of cat shaped, like vaguely, and then of course it becomes a cat. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Okay. Well, she is really ugly, but then she disguises herself as a beautiful girl.
Of course.
Yeah. But the Witchfinder chases her, and he finds her, and there's nothing she can do to stop him. And
she won't admit she's a witch, and then he says, "Confess," and all he does is like raise his voice, and then she gives in.
Right.
Like, wow, she cracked under pressure there.
Yeah. You know, he takes off his hat when he's talking to her. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then she says, how'd you find me? He says, can't you guess? And then he turns into a
warlock.
Yeah.
So it's like, duh, it takes one to know one. And so they fly off on their broomstick together and live evilly ever after.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to find that quote.
What?
Takes one to know one. And I thought that where that came from. I could not find it though. It might be Irish, but
I don't know.
But it's a lame childhood comeback.
Yeah, like takes one to know one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I am rubber and you are glue.
Yeah, I always liked that one.
Oh, that one was fun.
It rhymes.
Yeah. So this next story is last in the issue, and it's probably the coolest one.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Behind the Door. And this is a reprint from Spellbound number 16 from August 1953 with beautiful art by Joe Sinnott, who inked much of Kirby's run on the Fantastic Four, and also John Buscema's.
Who was that mad drawer from Mad Magazine? Basil Worthington or something? Wolverton.
Basil Wolverton, yeah. Oh, I love him.
That's very similar to his stuff, I think.
Yes, there's some really wild stuff in the splash panel. Like, very good, very good. I love Basil Wolverton, and I love looking at stuff and realizing what an influence on R. Crumb he had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. There's this guy with
Fantagraphics just put out this great hardcover, part one of a 2-volume set, reprinting a lot of Basil Wolverton's crazy old science fiction and horror stories. And it's called, I think it's like Death from Neptune or something like that.
I've seen his stuff, but it's always here's a Basil Wolverton, and I said, "Oh, look, isn't it neat?" I said, "Yeah, that's neat," but I never read a story.
Well, you've never lived until you read The Brain Bats of Venus,
Ooh,
which is awesome.
Oh, cool. So there's some really cool, neat stuff going on here. But all right, this old rich guy has this magic flashlight, or
he's an inventor, and he's rich.
Mm-hmm. So when he shines a flashlight, he can see the unseen.
Yeah.
And he sees some crazy ass stuff.
He does. And it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has a niece who lives with him. She's young and she's beautiful, and he loves her. He's the only person in the world he cares about other than himself.
Yeah.
And he tries to spoil her with cars and things, and she doesn't really care for all that.
The lamp looks like a bed lamp.
Sure.
You could see it in
like on your nightstand.
Yeah. And it's really nothing, but he turns it on and click.
He sees death. He's like, oh, crap, well, I don't want to die. So he hires a bunch of bodyguards.
And gets a big safe. And
so his plan is to use them so he can trap death in the safe so he won't die.
Mm-hmm.
And it works because reasons. But yeah, anyway, he's able to see death coming and use these guys to trap him.
Mm-hmm.
And but then he's like, I'm gonna live forever now, and get to reap the rewards of this cool lamp, like the patent. But then his niece is hurt in an automobile accident, and he calls the doctors, and they tell him, like, look, the only thing we can't do anything for her. Death would be a sweet release. And but she seems to be hanging on, and the guy knows, oh crap, I've trapped death, so she can't die. So he opens the safe,
and lets death out,
and he dies too.
That's similar to the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
So,
but I thought that was a cool story.
Yeah,
I think that was the highlight of the issue. I feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting house ad on The Invisible Man.
Yeah, appearing in supernatural thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like this. I love the artwork on this.
Yeah, it's very nice. Let me see that. See if I can ID the artist. Keep talking about something.
Okay.
The art's by Jim. At least the cover in the ad it's Jim Steranko.
Oh.
It's signed here.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Very nice. Yeah, Jim Steranko. It's great.
All right. I do want to see some more of these horror things. And,
I think we have a little bit of some stuff like that coming up. So.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure exactly when, but...
Well, until next time, see you in the funny pages.